Today, we're discussing the question, what's up with all of these puzzles for 7 Days to Die Alpha 21? Now, we've got a lot of info to cover and no time to waste, so let's get to it. Ladies and gentlemen, recently the Fun Pimps have teased upcoming changes in Alpha 21 with a series of puzzles. This is a rather unorthodox way of releasing update information. So today we're going to discuss the question, what's up with all of these puzzles? As well as the reaction to the puzzles by the fan base. And let's begin with the puzzles themselves. It all started with one simple phrase, 7 Brutus denied 5. This cryptic message pointed to the changes coming to Spears in Alpha 21. And from there, the puzzle train left the station. The first picture puzzle released was this one right here, which pointed to the new chunk reset option being added to 7 Days to Die in Alpha 21. The next puzzle clued us into the removal of the secret stash, as well as other changes being made to the traders. This puzzle revealed changes to the electricity system, specifically the visibility of wires. These next two puzzles pointed to changes coming to the player HUD, such as the addition of a new danger meter and the ability to pin crafting recipes to the HUD. And our final two puzzles gave us our first look at the perk rebalancing being done in Alpha 21. Which means we have to say goodbye to an old friend, so ladies and gentlemen, F's in the chat for Sexy Rex. Because the Sexual Tyrannosaurus perk is being removed, however, it is being incorporated directly into the melee and tool perks. But we get to say hello to a series of brand new Flurry of Blows-like perks being added to each attribute tree. This series of puzzles was used to reveal some of the changes coming to 7 Days to Die in Alpha 21. Now, I must say it is a rather unusual way to announce changes. However, I personally enjoyed the puzzles, but I do have to claim my bias here. Ladies and gentlemen, I am an unabashed, unapologetic, huge, gigantic nerd. Nerd! Nerd! I love puzzles and found the 7 Days to Die puzzles a fun way to reveal changes while simultaneously engaging the fan base. Yet, some members of the 7 Days community felt otherwise. I received several comments and private messages from concerned players. These messages were basically asking, what the heck is up with these puzzles? Many players were annoyed that this was the method the Fun Pimps chose to release update information. Phrases like waste of time or words like immature were commonplace. So I decided to take a step back, try to set aside my personal bias, and tackle this puzzle issue from a different perspective. And I believe that the reaction to the puzzles may be a symptom of the larger issue. One of my biggest gripes with the Fun Pimps is their total lack of communication skills. They are just awful at effectively communicating upcoming changes and interacting with their fan base. They often resort to gaslighting, presenting straw man arguments, responding with disrespect and insults, or outright attacking the fans merely for asking questions or voicing concerns.
Don't ask questions, just consume product and then get excited for next product.
I've spoken about this issue for years and covered it in several videos. Now yes, as with every fan base in the history of forever, there will be trolls. Welcome to the internet. However, the vast majority of detractors are just passionate fans, asking honest questions and voicing legitimate concerns about the thing they love. And the Fun Pimps even acknowledge this fact.
What it says to me is they care about our game and they love our game, even if it's coming across in maybe not a flattering way.
Yet they continue to treat fans horribly and take no steps to correct this failure. And quite frankly, fans are sick of it, and the reaction to the puzzles is just the latest sign. There is no question that the Fun Pimps have succeeded in creating something special. 7 Days to Die has offered millions of people hours upon hours of entertainment, and an entire fandom has sprung up around it. But the 7 Days fandom is still subject to the same forces as any other fandom in the world. Fans can be fiercely loyal and your biggest cheerleaders, willing to overlook flaws and give the developers the benefit of the doubt. However, that willingness to give the benefit of the doubt will disappear if a pattern of mistreatment develops. Fans will only be mistreated for so long before they respond, often with feelings of frustration and anger, until eventually they get fed up and leave. And losing the fandom can be catastrophic for a game developer. There is a common misconception that the opposite of love is hate. That is not true. The opposite of love is apathy. And once a fandom reaches the point of apathy, it dies, as does the product upon which it was established. At least, that's how it used to work. The gaming industry is the largest entertainment industry in the world. It surpassed the peak of the Hollywood box office in revenue by 4.5 times in 2021. There are an estimated 3.09 billion gamers in the world. By contrast, 7 Days to Die has sold 15 million copies. That leaves over 3 billion gamers as potential customers. That is huge. And the Fun Pimps may be focusing heavily on that untapped market, and rightfully so. So why bother with players who have already purchased your product when there are over 3 billion gamers out there who have not? Well, the answer to that question is quite simple. Fans can be a force multiplier. They could be the developer's greatest marketing tool. There is nothing better for a fan than sharing their fandom with others, bringing them into the fold, showing their friends and family why they love this thing so much. But fans can also have the opposite effect. They will just as fervently express their displeasure as well. And once you lose the goodwill of your fan base, it is very hard to earn it back. Now, in regards to 7 Days, that goodwill is not completely lost yet, but the Fun Pimps are losing it with more and more of their fans each day. It is very true that 7 Days to Die reaches new players every time an alpha is released, and I believe it will continue to do so in the future. But I also believe that number of new players is but a fraction of what it could be. If only the Fun Pimps would take steps to learn how to effectively communicate changes and interact with their fan base in a respectful way. So, what steps should be taken? Well, first, to be very clear, effective communication does not mean capitulation. No is a perfectly acceptable answer, so long as it is followed by a reasonable explanation as to why. And no, because we say so, is not a reasonable explanation. That is something a parent would say to their 5-year-old. Similarly, it's our game, we can do what we want, is also not a reasonable explanation. That is something a middle school kid says on the playground. This game is marketed to adults, your paying customers are adults, and they deserve to be treated like adults, with courtesy and respect. I believe the Fun Pimps desperately need to bring on board a community manager, either an individual or perhaps a team whose sole responsibility is to act as a liaison between the devs and the fan base. They would be responsible for answering questions in a straightforward and respectful way, as well as effectively communicate changes coming to the game. There are plenty of highly experienced and trained individuals out there who would love to take on that task. fast, and this could be the most impactful hire the Fun Pimps could make. A community manager would help them stem the tide of apathy, regain some of that lost goodwill, and shoot 7 Days to Die into the stratosphere. So the puzzles aren't necessarily the problem. The reaction to the puzzles is a symptom of a deeper issue. Fans are fed up with the lack of communication and disrespectful treatment. For some, their love of 7 Days is turning. Many are no longer willing to give the Fun Pimps the benefit of the doubt, and the Fun Pimps are losing the goodwill of their fan base. So when they try something different, a little unorthodox, instead of taking it as a fun way to divulge information and keep the fan base engaged, the fans take it as a complete waste of time and just more disrespect. While yes, 7 Days to Die is likely to continue to attract new players, that number is just a fraction of what it could be. If only the Fun Pimps would take the steps to learn how to effectively communicate changes and interact with their fan base in a respectful way. Will that happen? I sure hope it does. And only time will tell. But for now, this is Savin saying thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and I'll catch you in the next one.